Okay, welcome everyone to the Arc Minerals webinar, which we're going to cover the details of the recently completed Anglo-American joint venture agreement, which was released on Friday. So I'll just let you know that we've had a great deal. This is the most amount of questions we've ever had submitted, 84 in total, and I've condensed these and grouped them into more themes, and Nick will run through those. If you can also all notice that there's a Q&A box where you can submit additional questions, and we'll look in that from time to time and see. But I'll let you know that we are going to cover the joint venture structure first, because I think that it's best to start with the deal itself. Drilling, of which there have been numerous questions, are going to be covered as well as the details on the large mining license and some other corporate events. So, Nick, over to you.
Well, thanks, Sasha. Good afternoon, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Both Vasily, who's our chief geo, and myself in Zambia. We've also got Remy, who's our CFO, on the call. And thank you for joining. We are certainly at the most exciting juncture in the history of this company. And I'm delighted to be sitting here with you today to say we did it. It was a long journey for sure, but definitely worth the wait. I can assure you that. So the deal we've secured is, I think, without doubt, the best earn-in exploration transaction ever secured. And you can do your own research. I think by far and away, this is the best ever. It's a deal that sees $75 million going into the ground. Even for a major, that is a very significant investment. And that obviously translates into tens of thousands of meters that are going to be drilled. So everything to play for here. And ask yourselves why. Our ground, as you've heard me say many times in Northwest Zambia, is home to 3 multi-billion-dollar mining operations in the eastern part of the Domes region. And it's one of the most exciting undeveloped prospects in the world that we have. That's why. And why it will be a major win, a win for ARC and a win for our new JV partners, Anglo-American. Because I have little doubt that going forward, we will be reporting a significant discovery. Some experts have predicted that some 20 million tons of copper lie in our part of the Domes region alone. That's why. A lot of research has been going on behind the scenes, as you can imagine, as we completed the CPs. As many of you know, this was a former Anglo exploration property, and there's a lot of historic data, both from the time it was owned by Anglo and then more recently from our drilling campaigns. Going back to some of the early analysis by Anglo and Equinox of the whole Domes region, they ranked their top 30 targets in this wider area. And that includes Sentinel, which is a multi-billion-dollar operation that was ranked 22. And of ours, we have 7 of the top 10. Planning the drill program has been underway for some time. In addition to the geophysics that we carried out in recent years, which you're aware of, this also included flying magnetic and radiometric surveys totaling over 10,000 line kilometers. An AMT and gravity survey has been conducted to complement this prior to drilling commencing. This was then followed with appointing a drilling contractor, agreeing the contracts, agreeing the targets, putting in the infrastructure in place, with the main camp, then the drilling camp, which is a satellite camp, then mobilizing the rigs, and finally starting the actual drilling. So we've been drilling for about 10 days. And as I'm sure most of you know, we were as keen as anyone on this call to get going, and we have. That's the really exciting news. We have started drilling. We have been at it for, as I say, over 10 days. And we're about to go to 2 shifts of 12 hours. So we'll be drilling 24 hours. We're currently drilling a target in the Chiesa area. That was, as you probably know, one of our top targets that we had identified. And I'm pleased to say it's been going extremely well. Plan has been for 2 rigs. One is at site. It's been drilling, as I say, for almost 10 days. While there has been some rain, we have been drilling through that. And Vasily can touch on this later, but it's important to bear in mind when we talk about the rainy season it's less about the drilling itself, rather it's more about the drill rigs being impacted when you move them from different targets, as some of the roads become quite difficult to navigate. Even there, we're working on ensuring that we can continue even when the rains do start, and they have started. So we're working on making parts of the road system more accessible for additional holes that we're planning to drill in the next few weeks, so as not to be impacted by the onset of rains. The planning process by Anglo for operating during the rains has been hugely impressive. We had our first board meeting over the weekend, Saturday rather, and I just couldn't be happier with the partners that we have in Anglo. So that is just excellent news. And the board, a number of you have asked the board structure. Obviously, Anglo control the JV board as the majority shareholder, and it's 3 directors from Anglo and 2 directors from ourselves, of which I'm one of them. When we do get results, we will, of course, report them, and I know everybody wants results desperately, as do we. And, of course, we're going to have a very busy period of news flow, especially as we deploy more rigs. Let me turn briefly to how we've structured the deal, because I know this has been an enormous sense of frustration for you as shareholders and indeed for us. We have completed a number of steps that we were unable to report on as we finalized the transaction, because it is actually quite a complex transaction when you get into the detail. Firstly, we've consolidated the various entities under one umbrella, which is the company Handa, in which Anglo holds its 70% interest, and we, through Unico, hold 30%. Now, this process was not simple, as it required numerous regulatory approvals from different government departments in Zambia, and I'm pleased to say all of which we've obtained. And I must say that the commitment and the support of the government of Zambia has been superb. I just couldn't be happier operating in Zambia with the support of the government. We've also applied, as you probably know, for a number of large mining licenses rather than just the exploration licenses. That gives us, on average, a period of sort of 25 to 30 years to both explore and develop a mining operation. And I don't need to expand as to why you think we've applied for 3 large mining licenses, which we hope and expect those to be approved over the next few months. In addition to that, we have a further 4 exploration licenses which are active today. I should say that the terrain that we have is the same terrain that we've historically had. It's 870 square kilometers, and of that, circa 600 square kilometers will form into the large mining licenses. We are now completing some of the more administrative steps, some minor administrative steps, after which we will receive the first installment payment of $3.5 million from Anglo. That should come in the next few days. I don't expect any significant delay there. These are really minor. The key thing is we're drilling and the work has started. In respect of our cash position, we've obviously had to stop all but essential payments during this phase. And I'm pleased to say that we've come through this without needing to raise funds, nor actually sell any of the non-core interests that we have. And just to remind you, of the next 3 years, we receive $1 million each year, and then a bullet payment of $8 million at the end of year 3. Ladies and gentlemen, the real journey starts here. We're in the best prospective copper area in the world, with a JV partner in Anglo that has the best technical knowledge of this area and has immense technical expertise to develop a huge drilling program, as I said, tens of thousands of meters, which I know and very certain will show amazing results as we get going. The real excitement begins now. Thank you all for listening. Sasha, I'm happy to take questions, and I know you've got a few that have been emailed through, or quite a few, I should say. You've tried to summarize, I think, some of them, and I will attempt to answer all, if not most of them. and if there are any further queries, we can open the lines. And Vasily, obviously, as our key geologist, will update on this as well. He's about to go up to site where we're drilling, and so over to you, Sasha, if you want to open up to the questions that we've received.
Nick, I think it'd be good if you refresh the audience on the details of the deal first, given there's a lot of questions on the structure of the deal to come. So if you want to go through things at a high level, then that'll set the scene.
Sure. So the deal itself is valued at $88.5 million. That includes a cash payment to Unico of $14.5 million. Now, Anglo has the right to get to the 51% initially by funding an exploration program of $24 million within the first 3 years. And then following that, following the $3.5 million, as I say, which is imminent payable to Unico, there's $1 million each year for the next 3 years, and then an $8 million bullet payment at the end of that phase 1 date. There's a thunderstorm here. Following completion of the phase 1, Anglo will have the right to retain an additional ownership up to of 9%. And that'll take them to 60%, and that is by funding a further $20 million of additional exploration expenditure within 2 years of that date. And then finally, the last phase is that they'll, for another 10%, which will take them then up to the 70%, by funding $30 million within 2 years of that. So, this is very, very significant. I think one of the largest exploration programs to date, and I think it's pretty obvious to everybody why Anglo is committed to this sort of expenditure. And I know from having discussed with Anglo, this is one of their absolute key priority exploration targets globally. So it's hugely exciting for them, and it's hugely exciting for us.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Sorry, if I could move on to the joint venture itself. First question, who will be the CEO of the joint venture? There have also been quite a few questions on the composition of the joint venture board, joint venture entity being Unico with Anglo American's board members as well. So could you please go through that on the board structure?
Yeah, sure. Look, I'm not going to sort of give any names of individuals, but it suffice to say that they are very senior Anglo-American technical people who are on the board. The 3 representatives with a huge amount of, obviously, geological experience and exploration experience. The 2 other members of the board from our side is myself and then Raj Patel, who was part of our who represents Kapara, and is part of the Unico board.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Another question saying, clearly some of the JV details have changed. The JV with Anglo American is now via Unico. Will you provide a refresh of the JV details to reflect these changes?
There's no significant change in the JV in that sense. So we will own our interest through Unico, and that's the 67-33 split with Kapara, and then Anglo will hold the 70%, will hold the 30%.
Okay, thanks. And can you clarify which licenses will be included in the JV, including any additional potential licenses, and advise whether the cadastral system has been updated as yet?
So all of the licenses are included in the JV. I think Vasily can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think within 5 kilometers area of that perimeter that we have, any licenses that either party discovers or wants to bring in, has to be offered to the JV first. So that it's pretty straightforward. Obviously, beyond the 5 kilometers, the individual parties can do what they want.
Okay, thank you. Regarding Rothschilds and their involvement and fees, there's been a few questions on these, and one in particular: will if these are not already accrued in our accounts, does this need to be paid from the sum received from Anglo American? Are the fees split with Kapore? And are you able to comment on the amount of any investment banking fees?
No, I don't expect it to be any significance at all to us.
Okay, right. Well, let's move on. Few questions on the large mining license. Perhaps you could explain the concept of the large mining license and why you upgraded and the procedure here, just to set the scene for investors.
Yeah, look, I'll get Vasily to answer in more detail, but as I said at the outset, the reason we have identified these 3 applications, if you like, for large mining licenses is obviously ultimately we want them to become mining operations. So that will give you a hint as to why we've applied for mining licenses. That also gives us a long window. As I said, they vary between 25 and 30 years depending on the individual license, but that would give us a window then to explore without having to, under an exploration license where you sort of use it or lose it after a certain number of years and you have to split it and abandon half of it and so on. That the salami slicing doesn't take place and allows us to really then progress a really significant drill program, and then obviously with the hope that we then develop a mining operation. But Vasily, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think you've said it all there, Nick. Basically, if one takes a step back, we've collected 75,000 soil samples. We've flown over 10,000 line kilometers. We've drilled over 22,000 meters within these licenses. We've demonstrated that there's potential for economic mineral resources there. And the next step logically is to secure the ground so that we can continue working and developing these areas into mines. And to enable us to do that, there is a process that one has to go through in country, it's quite straightforward. And you put in your applications, you submit your supporting documentation, and then you move forward from that point. So it does enable us then to not have to worry about having to relinquish ground in areas that we haven't had a chance yet to cover. And it also enables us then to focus on some of the areas that we have discovered and move forward in exploring them further.
Thanks, Vasily. Okay, again, I'll be waiting for the next MLC meetings to get the actual license issued. Does that question make some sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, if you recall correctly, I mean, the cadaster system was closed for about 18 months in total. And there has been a backlog of applications that have to be processed, and they have been actually recently quite rapidly going through these. So yes, we do expect at some point for this to be approved via the Mining License Committee.
Okay, thanks, Vasily.
I should add, sorry, Sasha, I should add that we're not delayed by any of this in terms of getting drilling on any of our targets.
Okay. Final question on the large mining licenses. To obtain a large mining license appears to require significant evidence of the presence of large mineral deposits. It has been said that this may rely on historical data held by Anglo American. Can you comment further regarding this? Did that influence you going for the large mining license?
No, the license was purely off the back of the information that we generated over the recent years of exploration activity.
Okay, thank you, Vasily. I think that covers large mining licenses. There are a few other questions on it, but you've gone through it there. So Anglo payments. When is the first tranche of money due to be received from Anglo American, and how much of the initial 3.5 million is going directly to ARC Minerals?
So the 3.5 million we expect within the next week to 10 days or thereabouts. I think we alluded in the press release to 2 weeks. I would expect that to be quicker. That will be paid out to Unico, and then we've agreed with Kapara that all of the cash in Unico gets paid out to the shareholders. So we will get our 67% of that.
Okay, thanks, Nick. So the Anglo payments will be made on completion of remaining administration points. Can you please outline how much work and time may be involved with these?
Sorry, Sasha, your line broke up there. I didn't hear the last one.
The remaining Anglo payments will be made on completion of remaining administration points. Can you please outline how much work and time may be involved with these on the remaining administration points referred to complete the joint venture agreement?
Not much at all.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Okay, a question on Calabar. If the opportunity arose in the future to acquire the tenement, to buy back the tenement known as Calabar, would the JV partners be interested in acquiring this additional data to explore?
As far as ARC is concerned, we have a separation agreement, and that will not allow us to acquire what was agreed to dispose of, which was Calabar. Obviously, Anglo American could, I guess, if they were interested, but I can't speak for them.
Okay. Now we get to quite a few questions on drilling. So questions for both of you. When did the drilling actually start, and when was the actual decision made to start drilling?
Yeah, so the drilling started roughly 10 days ago. The rig was obviously mobilized prior to that. Yeah, I mean, as of a couple of days ago, they were 100 meters down. I've seen some questions about how deep we're drilling. So at the moment, if everyone recalls, when we did our drilling, we were looking for resources that were near surface. And Anglo feel that we've done a pretty good job on that, and they are looking to go a lot deeper down. And at the moment, they're starting off targeting stratigraphy roughly about 300 meters below surface. So that's the sort of depths that they're starting to look at for economic grades of mineralization.
Okay, thanks, Vasily. And will you be able to provide any details of the drill targets this season?
Yeah, we will in due course. As Nick mentioned, I'm heading up there. We'll be shortly having our technical meetings, going through everything. As you can imagine, we've been all hands on deck to get the deal over the line. And now that we've done that, I can actually sort of move away from the administrative corporate side of things of that and focus on the technical side. And so that's why I'm here in country. So yeah, in due course, we'll be able to hopefully divulge a lot more information on what we're doing.
Okay, thanks, Vasily. And then there's quite a few questions on the amount of rigs. How many rigs are drilling at the moment? Okay, detailed plans. You've just gone through those. Number of rigs at each location. Total drilling meters planned.
Yeah, I mean, to summarize, they're going to be drilling tens of thousands of meters. So the rigs are in. I think the rig the drilling contractor is just going to leave there for the rainy season. And if the weather clears up, we'll be able to turn that on straight away. They're in the process of getting a contractor out to site to start surfacing some of the roads, which will enable them to move around the site a lot easier. So Anglo are planning to drill as deep as they can realistically drill into the rainy season. Part of that, as Nick mentioned, is actually being able to access the sites and move around. And by bringing in trucks with laterite and putting surface material on the road, that should enable movement from site to site and accessing drill rigs and servicing them and so forth. So historically, we drilled without doing anything through to about early December, 10th of December. So I expect that with them being able to surface the roads and enable access, they should at least be able to drill well into that and further.
Thanks. You've covered a big section on the wet season drilling window, but we'll maybe look through that and see if there's anything left over. There's a question on where drilling will occur. Will it occur in only one license area, or is your expectation to be drilling in multiple license areas?
Multiple license areas and discussions that we had with them.
Okay. Thanks, Vasily. So you've answered the questions on Anglo drilling into the wet season, and you're making sure that you can drill through as much of the winter season as possible. You've announced that the drilling has started. Okay. I think that pretty much covers. Do you feel that covers everything that you can see on the wet season and the drilling window right now?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So
the last question referred to the winter season. The rainy season is actually the summer season in the southern hemisphere.
okay, yeah, right, yeah, of course. And okay, further on drill results then. On average, how long is each drill likely to take, and does Anglo have in-house capabilities to turn around assays in a quick period? And how reliant are they on external providers?
Yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, Anglo don't have that capacity. Capacity is the wrong word. There's a governance issue here. You can't be the policeman, at the same time as producing results. So that has to be sent to an independent assay lab, which they've identified and have agreed going forward. But sorry, Vasily, do you want to update on that? If there's anything else?
No, I think that's right, Nick. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't mark your own exam paper. So, the samples will get sent to an independent laboratory, as we have done in the past. It's a normal process in this instance.
Okay, thanks. Can you advise on how the release of future drill data is likely to be managed and overseen by the ARC team in order to ensure timely and transparent updates?
That's a good question. We've included that in the joint venture agreement with Anglo American. They're perfectly aware that we have regulatory obligations to report back to shareholders on the drill results, and we will do that in a timely fashion. I might just say, referring to the long process that's taken to close this deal, and I said earlier, it was a sense of frustration, I know, for many of you, and indeed sent a huge amount of frustration for me, and kept me awake for many, many nights, for many, many months, if not years. But we are there. I might just add that this joint venture agreement is some 167 pages long, and every single clause had to be agreed and negotiated between the parties. So it was a very, very long effort, not to mention all of the requisite consolidation of the various exploration interests that we have in Zambia, and then getting the requisite local approvals, regulatory approvals, mining ministry approvals, competition commission approvals, tax approvals, and so on. So it's a hugely long and complex process, but I'm glad we're here. But going back to communication, yes, we have built into that JV agreement the requisite clause and ability for us to meet our obligations to update what I hope will be very exciting news flow going forward.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Nick, I'm just going to. I've had quite a few questions come in since we started talking about drilling on the shared Q&A. Can you see the box? I can read them out. So, when are the first results due? How long until the first results are due from Zambia in terms of drill results?
That's impossible to say at this stage. We've only just started drilling.
Okay, right, fine. And given Anglo excitement, do you see them speeding up the drilling?
Of course, if they can. As I say, it is one of their major global exploration targets, priorities, and as the weather allows, that's a $24 million for that first phase is a lot of money going into the ground. That's a lot of rigs and a lot of drilling. So yes, they will prioritize and accelerate as much as we can.
Okay. Could you give, from your knowledge of the history of the licenses, can you give us an understanding of why Anglo are really paying up for being involved?
Well, that's sort of almost a rhetorical question. It's very obvious why, as I said in my introductory comments, why they have prioritized this. The Anglo used to own this entire Domes region. Half, when they pulled out, half of it was acquired by two other major mining companies, which have three multi-billion-dollar operations operating there now. One of which is some 40 kilometers away from us. The neurology, if you like, is very compelling. The other side of the Domes region, which, as I said in my opening comments, a very well-known, experienced geologist, predicted that there's still further sort of 20,000 tons of copper that is there on the other side, and who knows if he's right or wrong, but everything we hit in our drilling, although it was nothing like what we're going to drill, obviously with the funds that are being put forward with Anglo. There's a massive opportunity here. In our view, it's in the right jurisdiction. Zambia is an amazing place for a mining company to do business. It's got a very well-established mining framework. It's got a very world-class judicial system where the rule of law works, and we've had first-hand experience of that in protecting our interests going back a few years. And the new administration of the president, Chilema, has been fantastic, and I think has attracted, a great deal of further foreign investment into Zambia, foreign mining investment, I should say, which is great news. So it's a great jurisdiction to operate in, and it's one of the last undeveloped copper properties, in our view, globally. And I think that says everything as to why a group like Anglo prioritized this for them to get involved. And I just couldn't be happier to have Anglo as our partners here.
Thank you, Nick. Look, we're running out of time as well. Let's move on to Botswana, if that's okay. I think we've covered drilling. I can't see anything else on the Zambian drilling yet, but Nick and Vasily have meetings, and Vasily's certainly going to site this week, and I think we're expecting further updates to come up there. So Botswana, now that the Zambian JV is in large part finalised, looking to the future, when can we expect assay results from Botswana, and will there be more drilling? Again, will drilling recommence in Botswana this year, and is there a time frame for this? So over to...
Yes. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, maybe just at the outset on Botswana, and then I'll hand over to you.
Yep.
We did have to put drilling on pause for, as I say, for cash reasons, because we've obviously had to, prioritize getting through this without doing a raise, which I'm delighted under Remy's guidance and leadership on the finance side, we've been able to do so. And I think that's a huge credit to Remy and his team. So obviously that meant putting Botswana on hold. We view Botswana, the licenses that we have in the KCB area, is hugely attractive. One major mining company did actually reach out and offer congratulations that we had actually identified a very, very interesting prospect there. So let's see how that plays out. Some of one of the licenses is adjacent to an operating entity called Khoemacau. There are rumors there that that is up for sale, and that there's a Chinese player might get involved. For if you read the press reports, sort of up to $2 billion. Who knows? But that's what we're good at. We are nimble, and we identify opportunities that we think have legs, which will give us a seat at the table going forward, like we did on this one with Anglo. So let's see. But Vasily, do you want to update as to any drilling?
Yeah, so basically this week I'm in Zambia. Next week I'll be in Botswana. By that time, hopefully we're in a position to pay off the lab, get the results, and then we can start planning the next phase of work. We have been doing some conceptual stuff, and that will tie into once we get the results. So yes, the plan will be to carry on with the program there, and it's just a matter of timing now. And in Botswana, it's slightly different. Although you do have a rainy season, one is able to drill there through the rainy season. It's not as challenging as it is in the northwest province of Zambia.
Thanks, Vasily.
Thanks,
you.
Vasily. So that covers all the Botswana questions that I can see. I'm just checking the Q&A. Oh, the Botswana assays. You did some reverse circulation in Botswana earlier last year, was it?
Yeah, we did one diamond drill hole, and if my memory serves me correct, about 5 RC holes, as well as a whole lot of RAB holes. And those were scout drill holes. They're quite broadly spaced, just targeting the stratigraphy, making sure we had the right stratigraphy, and to check to see if we had any mineralization. So that was the first phase, and the next phase now is to follow up on that once we get the results.
Okay, thanks, Vasily. Okay, moving on to some more generic questions. And Nick, let me know if you want to take any questions from the audience as well. But there's nobody's.
Why don't we do that, Sasha? Because I'm conscious of time. Vasily and I have further meetings. But do you want to open it up and see if anybody wants to open?
Okay.
We'll ask.
Terry,
nothing.
There's a question from Terry Roos here. I'm going to allow to talk. Terry, can you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yes, please.
Hi, everybody. Terry Rouse here. I'm a first-time caller. I've got a couple of questions, and the first one's a bit laboured. The second one's quite easy. But the cash that's been committed to exploration and the drilling is absolutely enormous. We get a free carry, so they spend a fortune, and we get paid to sit there and watch it. We've got a fantastic area with, as somebody once put it, an embarrassment of riches. Anglo even released a media statement last week, and Paul Kumba, the Ministry of Mines, he put a statement on the RNS. So potentially it's the best exploration deal ever done. What is it that the market hasn't seen yet?
Well, Terry, first of all, good afternoon, and thanks for joining. It sounds like a sort of radio call-in show as a first-time caller. But look, I've always said, and I'll repeat, that it's very unwise for the management to opine on where the share price is. I mean, that we've done our job. Now you need to do your job, so to speak, as investors. So where the price is, as I said before, we've been as high as 8p. We're now at 3 to 4p with an asset that is, as you said, certainly the most exciting exploration deal out there. It's attracting interest from institutions as well. It's massive in terms of scale, size, opportunity, and to boot, it's been de-risked by having Anglo with us, and a significant amount of cash to the junior mining company, which is ourselves, obviously. And I would challenge any of you to look and see a comparable earn-in deal. I don't think there is anyone that comes close, any deal that comes close to ours. And I'd say that, partly because it's a good deal, but partly also, as I said in my opening comments, why? Why is that? Why did Anglo do this? Why are we sitting where we are? And it is because we are sitting, exactly as you say, on the most exciting prospect of copper discovery that we've seen, and we will see for a very long time. So that to my mind answers everything. The market, as you know, is in a bit of a funk. The bigger markets, are all over the place, and AIM, has been a really poor performer in many respects, and maybe that plays a bit of a role. But ultimately, I always believe that value will out. So I'm not terribly worried about where the share price is. We will get back to where we should be valued, and as I say, that Terry, that's you and your colleagues' jobs.
Yeah. I'm not at all worried about where the share price is. It's a little bit rhetorical, but I look at it and think, if I had X amount of money, would I invest more now? And the answer is yes. And I'm just thinking, wonder why other people are. It's quite strange.
Well, we need to spread the news.
Okay, my second question is that UNIC have spent about 20% of your working life here at ARC. So what does the deal mean to you personally?
Terry, it means a huge amount, actually. I've got a reasonable amount of skin in the game. I put my neck on the line by really ensuring that this deal would get over the line. I think certainly others may have dropped out earlier on, but I think it's going back to what I said at the outset. I think this is the best exploration deal that we were looking at, could have looked at, and it was worth fighting for. And personally, going back to my career, I've worked on bigger deals, and not perhaps as frustrating as some of the chapters in this particular deal of the last 2 years have been, but certainly this personally has been the most rewarding deal that I've managed to close, and I know that investors will be rewarded as we go down the development of this with Anglo. I know that, so I'm hugely excited by it. But thank you for asking that, Terry. Yes, it has been very rewarding ultimately.
Well done to you and your team. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Terry.
Okay, well, look, please don't be shy, and please do raise your hand if you would. Oh, we've got one from Ross and Carl Eric. Okay, I'm just going to meet you again, Terry. Okay, and Ross. Hi, are you able to? Yes, you're on.
Hi, Sasha. Thanks. Nick, congratulations on getting the deal over the line. I just had a quick question. You said to Terry about getting the news out there. What is it you've got planned to exactly get the news out there and to promote ARC Minerals and this amazing JV we have at hand?
Ross, we do have plans, and we're working on that with our brokers and with our advisors. We as you've probably gleaned, we're not the average AIM junior mining stock where we pump it and put out information that is a stretch from being the truth. Equally, you got frustrated when we couldn't update, and we're not going to update when we can't. In the run up to closing this deal, which I know is frustrating, but we don't play that sort of game. Having said that, now that we are through this and we have got, as I say, an incredible transaction that we've now secured, it is of interest to other bigger institutions out there, because it really has de-risked the investment thesis massively, and I think we'll obviously be reaching out to other potential bigger investors. My background, through Anglo American principally, but also through Asia Resource Minerals, my network and contacts in the institutional sectors is quite reasonable, and rest assured I'll be calling on a number of them to hopefully whet their appetite and show them what we've achieved. So and we will obviously keep a very active communications program going to keep all of you informed and keep the excitement going. We've obviously only just started. If we're at the beginning of the dry season, I would say to you, in a much more detailed way as to what we're planning. But obviously we're at the end of the dry season, so we will be doing as much drilling as we can and updating as much as we can. And as Vasily's alluded to, and I've alluded to, we will even be drilling through part of the wet season, towards the end of the year. So we may have more information than you think that we're able to report on. So in a nutshell, we're as much as we can, we will update you on what we're doing in the drilling in Zambia. We will update you on what we're doing in Botswana, and I should say, not least, we are looking at other opportunities in both Zambia and outside of Zambia in Southern Africa. So we're not going to sit idly by, and that could be very exciting. I think this transaction, I've had a lot of incoming calls and messages and requests for meetings from smaller, bigger players to join and see what we might be able to do with them. So I think that's this transaction, I think, has enhanced our credentials, and without putting any detail on that at this stage is premature, but we will be looking at other opportunities out there. So rest assured, it's very high on our list to accelerate and get as much information as we can to investors to really promote the story.
Thank you, Nick. Nick, one final quick question. I came a little bit late to the call, so excuse me if you've already answered this, but a few calls ago you mentioned a mid-tier producer. Is that still the agenda?
I'm not sure when you said mid-tier producer, you mean what we could become?
Correct, yes. You mentioned there was possibly, you touched base on it a few calls ago. I'm not sure if that still stands, if that's still the objective.
Well, I mean, certainly, what Anglo would be aiming to is not a mid-tier producer, it would be a very large producer of copper here. So, but if sure, if it was of a mid-tier size, I mean that would also open up all kinds of opportunities. But so I'm not quite sure what that comment may have related to, but our sights are certainly bigger than being a mid-tier producer.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Ross. I've got a question from Carl Eric. Carl, you should be able
Yes. Hi. First of all, Nick and team, congratulations on a job very well done. I'm super impressed and super happy that we finally could have come to this point where we are now. So very, very well done. Nick, you actually kind of covered my questions with the previous questions regarding new investors. I would really like my cap table pole position to be challenged and see new bigger investors coming in, and also with the new potential deals that we could do. But if you just can paint the picture from your view, where are we in Arc Minerals in 1 year and 3 years?
Carl Eric, thanks for the question. So look, I think the priority is obviously to get the drilling started, which we've done, and that's a very exciting story. So over the next year, expect significant news flow from Zambia as we report on hopefully excellent progress that we're making with Anglo, and that I think will drive the share price going forward massively. We are looking, as I say, at other opportunities. They're very early stage. As I say, I think reputationally we come out of this in a much better place than we had been, because closing a deal like this, a lot of people, a lot of players didn't actually believe that we'd ever get this across the line, and we have. So that does open up other opportunities. And I think our expertise has been to be quite nimble and fleet-footed. I've surrounded myself by people like Vasily, who know the exploration terrain, particularly in Southern Africa, extremely well. His and our network in this area is significant, and we talk to a lot of people and we turn down a lot of things, but we also look at a lot of things that potentially could be very, very interesting. Some of our non-exec directors, one of whom is Zambian, has excellent contacts and network in Southern Africa, and he's been beating my door down. I've had meetings with him last week in Zambia about opportunities that he thinks we should look at. So in 3 years' time, I would certainly hope to have a number of additional projects, if not as exciting as the one, because that'll be hard to beat with Anglo, but certainly one that will move the needle, if you like, for us. So expect further developments there.
Amazing, thank you. And how would you rate the Anglo team in place? Is it bigger than you expected, or better than expected, or what guys are there, and are they in contact with the Mr. David Wood, who's an expert and at least previously was involved in Zambia.
Carl-Eric, yes. I mean, I have been impressed, very impressed actually by the Anglo team. I mean, they're technically, hugely competent. Dave Wood is obviously, one of the key members. I think he's now based out of Australia. But the local head of the exploration team in Zambia is an extremely competent lady who is Argentinian and has a lot of experience in copper and South America, and is, I've been very impressed with her. And everybody is pushing in the right direction and pulling in the right direction. So I've been very impressed with Anglo, and they've been very amenable to our requests that we have had to make from time to time. Look, they're very tough negotiators, we've achieved, I think, the best deal that we could possibly achieve. But what I say in these transactions is, the golden rule, which is he who has the gold tends to make the rules. So in some of the areas that we pushed back on, we were overruled, and that's fair enough. But we've achieved what I think, is a pretty good, an excellent transaction for us, given the size, the relative disparity of size between Anglo and ourselves. So I couldn't be happier with that team. They are as motivated as we are to get going with the drilling and to progress as quickly as feasibly as possible. So I can't speak more highly of them.
Thanks a lot. Certainly interesting times ahead, and Zambia seems to be moving very quickly in the right direction. So I'm very happy, and over and out from me. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Carl-Eric.
Thank you, Carl-Eric.
Sasha, I think we probably need to wrap up because I'm just conscious of time. Vasily and I have a meeting at the hour, top of the hour.
I need to ask you one or two more things just to wrap up. Is that okay? So the market's asking, does ARC need to do a placing in order to raise funds before the end of 2023? It's coming up quite a lot at the moment, so I think you should just address that.
Sure. I mean, look, we've just received, we're about to receive in total $3.5 million. So, people have asked about any loans that are due to the PDMRs and that they expire. They don't expire. We'll roll them as much as we need to. So there's absolutely no intention to sort of pay off those loans in any time soon. And, as Remy has done in much more challenging circumstances, we will manage our cash position extremely carefully, and I can say that there's no current plans to raise any amount of money.
Thanks, Nick. And look, if there's another question or a few questions on photos from sites of the Anglo drilling, will we be able to communicate those to investors as the program continues?
Yeah, we will be.
Okay. And well, look, I think that covers most of the urgent, the high priority ones that keep on coming. There's a few which haven't been, well, there's quite a lot possibly which hasn't been covered. So if you'd like to email them in, I'm sure Nick will get back to you, or if Vasily will. And look, there's about 25 questions on the Q&A as well, but I think a lot of them have been covered. Nick, if you need to drop off, then if you want to wrap up, then that's fine, unless there's something you see that you want to answer right now.
I think, to be honest, Sasha, we've answered as much as we can, and I think I'm conscious of people's time and commitment. It's a Monday morning, in Monday afternoon, and I'm sure people have got to get back to their day jobs. But look, just to say, thank you to our investors and our supporters for staying with us. To those who were extremely frustrated, I shared your frustration, believe you me, but we have got here, and you really can, I think we can all be extremely pleased with the transaction that we've closed. It's, I think, one of the best ever exploration earn-in transactions that has ever been completed, and there's absolutely everything to play for with what we're doing with our joint venture partner Anglo in one of the best undeveloped and prospective copper regions in the world. So watch the space. It's everything to play for. Hang in there. You've got a team here that's very value oriented, and we will progress whatever we can with other opportunities in the meantime as the drilling gets going. So with that, I'd like to say thank you all for attending. You're very welcome to email any of the team, including Vasily and Remy and myself. But that's it, Sasha, from our side.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Vasily. Thank you, Remy, as well. Well done, everyone, and look forward to further updates from site in Zambia. Just one bit of admin. The recording for this webinar will be, as usual, sent out to all the attendees and loaded on the website. It just takes a few hours to put together. It might take a couple of hours. So hopefully we'll be quite quick on it. And that's it. So thanks to all. I think I saw 204 on the call at one point. So thanks for everyone for giving up your time, and enjoy the rest of your week.